Moments caught on police cameras. And we look back at the war against dangerous driving and find out how this plane and Epsom Downs below me fit into the story. Plus the most astonishing clips of mindless motoring in what we can only describe as the worst of police camera action.
Between lanes 2 and 3. You take 120 miles an hour. Yankee 6, keep coming, keep coming.
For decades, traffic police patrolling in historic vehicles like these have witnessed at first hand the results of mindless and reckless driving. Motorists playing Russian roulette, not only with their own lives, but those of other road users too. Only in recent years have their vehicles been equipped with specialist video technology, which can record indisputable evidence of that stupidity. It's a reminder to all motorists never to cut corners with safety. This kind of carelessness is all too common. Amazingly, this motorcyclist wasn't seriously hurt. The driver just joining the motorway is so obsessed with getting to the outside lane quickly, he hasn't noticed what's up ahead. He crashes through a line of cones, scattering them in the path of other motorists. Looks peaceful enough, but watch the junction on the left. Watching that might make you think that the Victorians weren't that silly after all. Until 1896, all motor vehicles had to travel behind a man carrying a red warning flag, thus restricting them to walking pace. Now, a modern-day driver would, of course, find that quite preposterous. But it's worth bearing in mind that within 3 months of that law being repealed, the first person was killed by a motor car. From the very beginning, people realised that speed made the newfangled machine a potential killer. The speeding motorist up ahead barely slows down as he approaches a built-up area and completely ignores the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit signs. He's totally unprepared when a dog crosses the road in front of him. It was bad enough that the driver of this Porsche overtook an unmarked police car on the inside, but just watch the speed clock in the bottom right-hand corner. The camera records 145 miles an hour before the driver finally notices the flashing headlights reflected here on the back of the Porsche, trying to attract his attention. Driving at this speed is sure to lead to disqualification as well as a stiff fine. Travelling anywhere in a hurry can tempt drivers, even bus drivers, to take idiotic risks, putting other people in danger.
That's a bit naughty, isn't it? That's outrageous. That's really stop and talk to him then. It's all on video.
As we approach the zebra crossing and pull up for the woman to cross, keep an eye on the left of the screen.
So, I made sure that I said to Bob, I said, you absolutely...
Hello? Overtaking on the approach to a PEDX. Faint record precedence. Let's set that out. Let's set that out. Let's set that out.
Put the blues on, then.
But this idiot driver's only started.
He's got no seatbelt, he's in a dead rush, yeah. Done it again.
And again.
Go on in, noise.
This time he narrowly misses an old lady. In the space of 30 seconds, he's committed the same offence twice. Is your time more valuable than someone else's life? This driver seemed to think his was. However frustrating it is being caught in a traffic jam, the hard shoulder is not for overtaking. Flouting the law like this can delay the emergency services, getting to people who urgently need help. This impatient white escort disregards the road markings just to save a few seconds, but lost far more time when he was stopped by the police. The speed limit for towing a trailer on the motorway is 60 miles an hour, and for good reason. This driver's breaking the law by a wide margin. Hardly surprising that he's totally unable to react in time to a wave of slow-moving traffic. Towing any kind of load requires extra care. The driver with this boat must be mad to pass a book whilst on the move. Such stupid shortcuts put other people's lives at risk. And it seems the driver of this lorry was in too much of a hurry to tie a tarpaulin onto his skip. In the early days of motoring, there were hardly any rules at all, and things were pretty chaotic, even lethal. But in 1931, there was a major advance in safety with the publication of this, the very first highway code. It cost just 1 old penny, and although the advice on signalling with a horsewhip may now seem a little out of date, much of it is as relevant today as it was more than 65 years ago. For example, always have your vehicle under full control and be ready to pull up well within the distance that you can see is clear. When passing or overtaking pedestrians, cyclists or animals, give them plenty of room. At corners, leave ample room for oncoming traffic. When you intend to change direction, give the appropriate signal, clearly, definitely, and in good time. Never overtake unless you can see sufficiently far ahead to do so with safety. Carefully regulate your speed at all times to suit the circumstances and weather prevailing. The risks you take as a motorcyclist are not only risks to yourself, but to other users of the road. Finally, as a responsible citizen, you have a duty to the community not to endanger or impede others in the lawful use of the King's Highway. This was the first sort of mobile police pursuit. The London Horse Patrol was founded in 1805 to combat the hundreds of highwaymen who terrorised travellers, their distinctive red waistcoats earning them the nicknames the Robin Redbreasts. Well, today's highwaymen have considerably more horsepower, and as you'll see, so too do the police.
We've got them all on camera now, Vasco Turbo.
The two men in the red and white van are on the run along the M25 after a burglary. The police are eager to keep them on the motorway. Not only is it safer for the public, but it also makes it easier to control the pursuit until backup forces arrive. A police car has managed to get in front of the bandit vehicle. There's a slip road coming up, and it's essential to stop the van from using it. It takes nerve and skill.
Right, it's after a rolling roadblock now, Oscar.
The cold sign of the unit is now in front of the bandit.
This time the police car is successful. Before the video car arrived, a lot of electrical equipment had already been thrown out of the van as the fugitives tried to dispose of the evidence. It's now essential for the video car to stay in contact to capture on camera any more stolen goods that they try to get rid of.
Yeah, when you get to 23, if the vehicle continues on the M25, will you peel off at 23? For 2 Yankee 1, you peel off at 23. Receive, Ella. Thank you.
VH from MP Vasco 2, receiving. Okay, I'm a video car, marked traffic car, and behind this vehicle we're now approaching junction 23. 2-3. We have one Met car to the front. I'm immediately behind the bandit vehicle with an Essex and a Hertfordshire Panda behind that. they're refusing to stop. 2 occupants, for your information. 1 mile to junction 23. Vascar 2 over, and they're throwing property out of the vehicle.
Not a TV or video recorder like before, but the camera car did catch the passenger throwing out a TV remote control. Clear evidence to be used in court later.
BH, if I can stay on your channel as we're coming into your area, I'll be the link. Vascar 2 over.
Yeah, MP Vascar 2, if you would please stay on this channel.
Right, we're now on half a mile to Bignell's. Half a mile to Bignell's, 1 Met car to the front, bandit car between lanes 2 and 3. The near side passenger is a big chap with a woolly hat on, for your information. Hopefully the Met car will try and block the off-slip at Bignell's. We're now 200 metres to the off-slip at Bignell's. 200 metres, 100 metre. The Met car's now going to try and block Bignell's off for you. We're just blocking off. He looks like he's coming off. He's coming off. He's been forced on. He's been forced on.
Can you leave it to MP Vascar 2, please? Where are you now, over?
Okay, we have a Met Range Rover now between me and the target car. He's prohibiting this vehicle from passing. We're just going in the dip, well, halfway between 23 and 22, VH.
You take us to Uniform 2, are you with them, over?
I now have a Hearts traffic car behind me who's staying lane 3 to the rear of me.
Yes, you... Yes, thank you, take us to Uniform 5.
Okay, VH, do you have sufficient Hearts car for the link, or can I break off and hand it over to one of your vehicles now, Vascar Turbo?
Yeah, Vascar 2, if you can stay with them, take us to Uniform 5, are you right behind it, over?
With another junction coming up, police move to surround the van and again try to keep it on the M25. It escapes, but not for long.
He's crashed at junction 23.
Coming up in part 2, high drama on the highway, with the birth of motorway madness.
And we trace the development of police pursuit cars from 0 to 70 to 150 in just 70 years.
There are many different ways to communicate, but with Nokia's range of mobile phones, it's never been easier. Our new Nokia 3110 phone, for instance, has the unique Navi key that performs every function. And with our Nokia communicator, it's as easy to fax as it is to phone. Nokia, connecting people.
I hope everyone will like the extra fruit pieces in my new pies, said Mr. Kipling. More than ever. He does make exceedingly good cakes.
A battle between good and evil. A bitter war of love and hate. Final Fantasy VII is the biggest-selling game ever on PlayStation. Over 100 hours of the most compelling gameplay. This year's most anticipated release is Final Fantasy VII.
That tattoo of an old girlfriend can cost an awful lot to have removed. Resolve the problem by taking your current girlfriend into town and having her name changed by deed poll. This money-saving tip was brought to you by McDonald's, where you can now get a Bacon McDouble with cheese for only £1.39.
I caught up with time-saving technology. I called Ionica on 08 456 456 456.
From the director of Alien and Thelma and Louise.
Why don't you quit, O'Neill?
Demi Moore is brilliant. G.I. Jane.
The darkest days of the Second World War were also the darkest days for road accidents. During the Blitz, when this car saw action, street lights were switched off and headlamps were blackened out, so they couldn't be spotted by enemy bombers. But in that darkness, there was a huge escalation in the number of road accidents. There was only 1/10 the number of vehicles, but the death toll on the roads was 3 times higher than it is today. It certainly goes to prove one thing: not being able to see where you're going can be fatal. Only in this next sequence, it wasn't a case of people not being able to see where they were going, they simply weren't looking.
Oh my God, what is she doing?
She was busy changing the cassette, taking her eyes off the road for just a moment.
What's she doing there?
Thankfully, the nurse driving wasn't hurt. With his eyes down on the map, this driver also had no idea what was in front of him. He should count himself lucky that the police were there to point him in the right direction. And what was the coach driver up to when he should have been observing the red light? High streets are full of distractions, all the more reason for paying extra attention. So keep your eyes on the road ahead as the oncoming traffic slows down. These drivers must have thought the Blitz had started all over again. Producing fumes like this can obscure the vision of other drivers. It's a serious offence that can cost you a £1,000 fine. Here, another cloud of exhaust completely obscures the vision of the police in the video car.
Go for the goal, please.
This car simply should not be on the road, even if the smoke was caused by a common mistake.
I've just put diesel in by accident. Pull it over there, please.
This driver had decided that the best way to avoid the queues on the motorway was to reverse up the slip road against the flow of traffic. The driver then waits to rejoin the roundabout, but manages to choose the worst possible moment.
Gosh, true. That was close, wasn't it?
The roundabout was in fact an idea which we inherited from the French in 1911. Fortunately, we didn't adopt the Italian approach, which until 1923 meant that you drove on the left in town and on the right in the countryside, though it seems that some drivers think we did. Take this car driving down the hard shoulder of the A20 in Kent the wrong way. Whilst the helicopter alerts the motorway police to the vehicle's position, the car ignores the danger and hurtles along the road towards an unsuspecting white car. Amazingly, in this case, there were no fatalities.
Bickerstaff Street, we're just coming off towards Corporation Street. Where the hell's she going? She's going the wrong way down the roundabout.
These drivers have taken a wrong turn, and they're taking their lives into their own hands and are reversing along a slip road. What happens next is almost beyond belief. The police describe this incident as suicidal impatience. And this driver's actions are equally moronic, especially with the road wet. Having nearly frightened himself to death, the driver gives up on his manoeuvre and rejoins the carriageway until he can exit at the next junction. Italy was the first country to have a motorway back in the 1920s. It was more than 30 years before this, the UK's first stretch of motorway was opened in 1958. Not the M1, but the Preston Bypass, which is now part of the M6. Now, given the right traffic conditions, motorways can, of course, improve journey times. But they've also provided another arena in which reckless drivers can show off their stupidity. By reversing up the hard shoulder, for example. then coming within a whisker of causing an horrific accident. Same stretch of the M25 a few weeks later. Incredible as it seems, this driver has stopped in the overtaking lane after missing a junction. Unbelievable. And a few weeks later, the same junction yet again. This time, not just one irresponsible driver, but a whole herd of them. Frustrated by the heavy traffic, they've decided to try to leave the motorway by reversing in convoy up the hard shoulder. This kind of irresponsible driving is bad enough when the traffic is light, but with the road busy, the situation quickly becomes chaotic. Once they get to the scene, the police are very fair. Everybody gets a ticket. Thumbing a lift on the motorway is illegal for very good reasons. It's both dangerous for the hitchhiker and for any vehicles that stop. This impatient man soon found out that drivers won't stop if you try to bully them. He did finally get a lift in the back of a police car. Another police patrol has just arrived to find out what's going on here then. Apparently the motorcyclist on the right-hand side has stopped on the motorway for a cup of tea. The police officer runs across to discover that the man with him is a lost motorist. He's parked on the central reservation and crossed the busy carriageway to ask for directions. These students have a flat tyre but no jack. They're trying to lift the car by hand to change the wheel. They've stopped in the outside lane of the motorway, creating a hazard to themselves and other drivers. They clearly know they should have pulled over to the hard shoulder, as one guiltily hops over the barrier. The others just try to look innocent as the police arrive. These incredible pictures demonstrate how concentration and care are essential on motorways at all times. Here motorists are driving too close and too fast for wet conditions. Suddenly confronted with slow-moving traffic, the driver of the red Cavalier loses control. Cars are forced to slow down or stop, whilst others like the yellow lorry take evasive action by pulling onto the hard shoulder. But many drivers have failed to leave themselves enough time to react. Watch the white lorry in the middle lane. A pile-up was unfortunately inevitable. In less than a minute, one side of the motorway is completely blocked, including the hard shoulder. 6 people, some of whom were injured, were prosecuted for driving without due care and attention, although no one was killed. And look at what's happening a bit further back. An articulated lorry jackknifes into the central reservation. It shakes as more and more vehicles plough into it. This incident, which began with a white car doing a U-turn on a busy motorway, could have ended up just as disastrously. The Metropolitan Police were more than a little baffled by what this driver's up to. As he heads toward the cones, they wondered whether he might be an inspector from the government's cones hotline, which was running at the time. But gradually, his true intention begins to dawn, as, slowly but surely, he clears a path through the cones, large enough for a car to pass through. The driver has given up any notion of good sense and is attempting to break through onto the other carriageway. The fact that the cones are there as a warning and a deterrent is simply ignored. Once through, the driver has to negotiate a perilous re-entry into the traffic flow, made especially dangerous by the fact that he has to join the traffic hurtling along in the overtaking lane. When the driver was eventually pulled over by the police, he explained that he had no idea that his manoeuvre was illegal and hadn't realised what the cones indicated. But then he was on his first visit to Britain from the Ukraine. This camper van has just caught fire. Its two occupants have managed to salvage a few bits from it, but all they can do now is watch forlornly from a distance until help arrives. If your car ever catches fire when you're driving, the safest thing to do is to stop, get out of the car as quickly as possible, and call the fire brigade. Trying to deal with the situation yourself often makes things worse. Opening the bonnet fans the flames, as the fire will only get bigger when it has access to more oxygen. And most car-sized fire extinguishers are sorely inadequate for the job they're designed for, so don't bank on them. We'd also do well to follow the example of these van owners who've taken the wise precaution of standing well away from the blaze. The speed at which it spreads is quite astonishing. In the space of 3 minutes, this van has turned from a cloud of smoke into an inferno. Now watch what happens as the white lorry drives past. An exploding petrol tank can easily throw hot metal debris across the width of the motorway carriageway. In this case, the fire brigade were on the scene within 15 minutes, but it was too late to save the van, which is by now completely gutted. But the danger is never past until the fire is completely out, and sometimes even the professionals are taken by surprise. And it's not just the petrol tank which can explode. Watch the front of the van. With clouds of smoke threatening the safety of other drivers, the police take the extra precaution of closing all 3 lanes of the motorway until the danger is past. The prompt and intelligent reaction of the occupants saved their lives, but their prized possession is reduced to a burnt-out shell. It was Christmas morning when police spotted a horse running loose beside the M25. Hitting such a large animal at speed doesn't bear thinking about. Fortunately, these drivers had their wits about them. An officer bravely tries to coax the horse off the busy carriageway. But by now, the frightened animal is totally disorientated. Finally, the horse decides to head back to its field of its own accord. This swan's actions seriously tested the British love of animals. How far would motorway drivers go to avoid injuring a defenceless creature? One driver moving out to overtake the car on the inside lane suddenly comes face to face with the swan. But with cars to the left and lorries to the right, the swan seems oblivious to the danger it's in. And like many who ignore the laws of the road, the swan makes its getaway as soon as the police approach.
In the 1920s, some criminals literally got away with it because they had fast cars and the police didn't. So in 1927, the newly formed flying squad invested in a fleet of these Lee Francis sports cars. Flat out, they could top 70 miles an hour. In the 40s and 50s, the Wolsey became the workhorse of many traffic units, There were no blue flashing lights or sirens, just a bell on the bumper. In the 1960s, some forces needed even faster cars, like this Daimler SP250. There were still no police markings, and so officers were ordered to keep the roof down, even in the rain, so everyone could recognise their uniforms. By 1968, when this Ford Zephyr was in service, police cars had changed colour, and from 1963 had been fitted with the now familiar blue flashing light. And this was, of course, the car made famous in the TV series Z-Cars. Today, attention-grabbing colour schemes and strobe lights are an essential part of high-profile traffic policing, as is speed. If required, a car like this could go at 150 miles an hour. And in our next sequence, you'll see why. This motorcyclist first attracted the attention of a police patrol when he hurtled past at more than 90 miles an hour. And go for it he did. When the motorcyclist sees the police car, he foolishly tries to get away. But as you'll hear, he did have a very good reason for not wanting to be caught.
Tango Mike 99, affirmative, over.
The patrol car is forced to drive flat out as the speed clock continues to rise.
Could be traffic vehicle behind you for the tape, please. Give me a speed of what you're following at.
He's not gone over the bridge now, he's going towards Barking itself, towards Barking. 104 over.
Tango Mike 99, do you want me to remain at 5? Tango Mike 99, affirmative, over. X-ray Alpha 97, the vehicle is now negotiating the Shabbington bend.
Solo, round towards the back of Barking by the looks of it. Stand by, I'll be with you in just a second.
Towards the rear of Barking, turn centre, that's all we see. Indian 99, all we've got is a large Japanese motorcycle and a J plate.
It's multicoloured, I've got him again. We're now going towards the back of Barking Station, towards Longbridge Road. Very, very quick.
But why was the motorcyclist so determined to get away? It turned out later he was a driving instructor and certainly didn't want to be discovered driving recklessly.
I'm now... Oh, he's off! He's come off! He's off! He's off! At the roundabout, down by Barking. Can I have another unit, please? And a garage sergeant for a facility only Pollack. Get against the wall!
He lost control, his licence and his job. After the break, how this plane and Epsom Downs below me fit into the story. Plus the effects of drinking and driving. And the breakthrough that lets police see in the dark.
Detained MP, plenty units on scene.
Why are the men on bikes in such a hurry?
When the packages they carry could often be sent in seconds by ISDN.
Why do people go round and round in circles?
When communications technology could make the journeys unnecessary. Every week, BT install 2,000 ISDN lines. Why not change the way we work? Why not call BT on 0800 800 800?
Your own escape, so keep on pushing. Move on, oh child, just move on.
Things just got better. The new Citroën Zara. Look beyond the obvious.
the sliced white loaf that tastes as fresh as just baked bread.
Aquarium, the debut album from Aqua. It's full of pop-tastic hits and beautiful ballads. Aquarium, out now.
They're under stock orders, and they're on.
Traffic police first took to the air in 1920 in the skies above Epsom Downs Racecourse. They wanted a bird's-eye view of traffic congestion at the Derby, but there was a problem. While the observer up here could see the trouble spots below, to inform his colleagues on the ground, they had to land to pass on the information. Of course, nowadays, police air support units are linked to the ground by radio, but they can also beam live video pictures down to their colleagues below. Following an armed robbery in Oxford, an eyewitness reported seeing the gang getting away in a silver Saab. This was the only clue Thames Valley Police had to go on. The helicopter was called in to search the area. It soon spotted this car, matching the description and hurtling along the road at over 90 miles an hour. They were sure they'd found what they were looking for, especially when they saw things being thrown from the car. The helicopter radioed ground forces and alerted them to the position of the bandit vehicle. The armed criminals, realizing the police were onto them, are determined to get rid of any incriminating evidence. We've slowed the video down. What you see there, thrown from the car, turned out later to be their gun. The robbers have run out of road. They crash through a gate and press on across fields. But there's no way out. They're forced to abandon their car. The two men are now on foot. As they find their way out onto the road, they must think their luck's in. A potential getaway vehicle is just leaving the close. The driver of the white van, however, has other ideas. A struggle ensues. The driver is determined he isn't going to provide the criminals with an escape route, and he walks away with the keys. It could have been a different story if they'd still been armed. The criminals are on the run again, but police, directed from above, are closing in. And the robbers realise they've no option but to give themselves up. The helicopter's precious video evidence helped secure a conviction. They each got 9 years.
Coming up to a minor road that leads from the A4 back towards Bradfield. Straight across into the field opposite. Directly under the helicopter now.
The fugitives in this Range Rover might have thought they were giving the police the slip by taking off across farmland. But overhead, the Thames Valley Air Support helicopter is watching and recording every move.
Yeah, copy that. Tango Alpha 990.
Coming up to a hedge. Straight through the hedge as the traffic car stops on the road under the helicopter. Still flowing through the field of crops. This is up towards Beanham House area.
Yeah, Tango Romeo 14. Can we have another car?
The windscreen has gone on the Range Rover. Still in the field of crops towards a ditch and hedge. He's into the ditch and hedge. The vehicle has come to a standstill by the farm under the helicopter.
Roger, we have a false reading.
When the car finally comes to a halt, the helicopter crew continue to direct their colleagues using the helicopter itself as a giant marker in the sky.
Stop unit, take the next on the right, next right, and they're running towards the track there. And from 97, they're walking slowly towards us with hands in the air. They cross the concrete yard.
Through the combined effort of the helicopter, the police on the ground, and that most useful of police tools, the German shepherd dog, the culprits were eventually forced to give themselves up. This black BMW has been stolen. It's heading south from Birmingham at 130 miles an hour. The driver shows no sign of stopping.
We've got approximately 2 hours fuel at the moment. We may well see him in London.
The police are indeed prepared to follow him all the way to London. But they hadn't bargained on some unexpected assistance.
No deviation. Yeah, M45, unfortunately, Northampton had a Range Rover junction 18 stuck in the slip road. We missed him there. We've got the slow signs up now south.
When the police are involved in a pursuit, they always follow a plan. That plan will never deliberately involve any member of the public. Such situations are considered far too dangerous for anyone who's not had the appropriate training. And trying to help from a position of ignorance can often make things worse. But on this occasion, the help they received from two members of the public proved useful. The driver of the white estate in front slows down when he sees the police car, forcing the BMW to do the same. But after the fugitive starts nudging his bumper, he moves on to the hard shoulder. Further on, a blue van is more successful. The driver realizes what's going on and helps the police to box in the black car, bringing it to a halt. The driver of the blue van didn't stop, so the police didn't have the chance to pass on their thanks.
In 1967, a new breed of police car was born, the Panda car. It heralded a new era in policing, highly visible and highly mobile. Preston Police came up with a clever way of saving money. Instead of paying for a completely new paint job, they bought 3 blue cars and 3 white cars and just swapped the doors around. The introduction of the Panda car coincided with a major crackdown on the thing most likely to cause a motorist to have an accident: alcohol. 1967 saw the introduction of the first breathalyzer. If a driver had been drinking, these crystals would turn green. The bag was just there to show that he or she really was blowing into it. But for the first time, the police had something that told them accurately and quickly if a driver had been drinking.
After tip-offs from several members of the public, police caught up with this van travelling in excess of the speed limit and weaving all over the road.
Try and get this one back off.
When they finally pulled the van over, the police immediately took control of the keys. They then discovered that the driver could hardly walk, let alone drive. The driver in the car in front of this car was 3 times over the legal limit when he suddenly turned right in front of the oncoming traffic. Not only was the car an insurance write-off, the driver lost his licence. This Norfolk driver seems to think she's on a dual carriageway. She isn't. The car was spotted on a quiet country lane by a police camera motorbike. The driver was 3.5 times over the limit and, as you'll see, was extremely lucky not to injure herself or anyone else. She was banned from driving for 1.5 years and fined more than £500. In the United States, drivers suspected of drinking can be asked to carry out a sobriety test.
Right, and then when you've been driving, you've been failing to drive in a single lane, you've been coming across and hitting the yellow stripe.
Turn right here, and I couldn't.
Okay. Why don't you step out of the car just a minute, please?
The aim is to assess a driver's balance, coordination and concentration, skills that are all essential for safe driving.
Why don't you just turn around and face my car?
face the car?
Right, just turn around and face my car there. I'd like you to do something for me. Why don't you just step right back here, okay? I'd like you to, it appears that you've been drinking a little bit.
I haven't, man.
You hadn't been drinking at all?
No, I picked my friends up at the depot.
Okay, and you hadn't been drinking at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I'd like you just to put your arms at your side, tilt your head back, and close your eyes. And touch your nose with your
left hand.
Hold on. Close your eyes. Touch your nose with. Keep your eyes closed, please. Touch your nose with your right hand. You need to keep your eyes closed when you do it. Okay, put your arm back out. Put your arm back out to the side.
My arm is up.
No, your right arm. Okay, now close your eyes.
Close your eyes and put your left hand to your nose.
Okay. Put your arm back out to the side. Okay. Now keep your eyes closed. Touch your nose with your right hand. All right, back. Put your arm back.
I can't do this sober.
Okay.
I cannot do this at all.
Step right back over there, please.
While some new technology, like this, the latest breathalyzer, has made the roads safer, other developments have made them more dangerous. The mobile phone, for example. When the South Yorkshire police first spotted this car, it was travelling in the middle lane of the motorway at 65 miles an hour. The driver's busy on the phone. So busy, he doesn't notice that his reduction in speed to less than 45 miles an hour is beginning to cause problems for the drivers behind. Alerted by some erratic driving, police homed in on this car. By the time the driver realized he was being observed, it was too late. The driver of this Jeep was also spotted by police using his mobile phone. The highway code is very clear. You should not use a handheld phone whilst driving. You're even advised against using a hands-free phone, as it takes your mind off the road. And as this driver is about to demonstrate, that can be lethal.
I've got it on.
Oh, yes, well, that's good enough evidence. That's good enough evidence.
That's without due care.
He may have escaped a crash, but not the police. He was penalised for driving without due care and attention. Helicopters are now an essential part of the police armoury. Their ability to go where cars can't, at speeds of up to 160 miles an hour, gives them a unique bird's-eye view. And as you'll see, thermal imaging technology means that even the most determined fugitive just won't get away. A suspected car thief has gone to ground in this wood. The Dufford Powys helicopter crew can't see him until they switch to thermal imaging. To the right of the central crosshatch, you should be able to see a faint white heat source. Sure that this was the criminal they were after, the helicopter crew directs 2 CID officers to the location. The attempt to conceal himself was hopeless. This time, the thermal imaging camera is set to show heat as black. A Metropolitan Police Air Support helicopter is helping police on the ground to search railway sidings for 2 boys reported vandalising wagons.
The wagon to your immediate right, there is a heat source lying on top of it. I would suggest you perhaps get some assistance before you go up there.
The policeman standing between the rows of wagons calls for assistance from colleagues. But the observer's beginning to have his doubts that such a big heat source is one of the boys.
If you face the wagon and move to the right, there's the one directly ahead of you now. Yeah, no, it's a heat source, but as we get closer, it's starting to look too large for a human. It's the one that you're climbing on now.
When they climb on top of the wagon, this did prove to be one of the vandals. But his body heated warm material around him, making him appear much larger. His partner in crime proved an equally easy target.
Unit still in pursuit now, 500 metres behind. Accelerating back towards the gasometers towards IKEA.
A car thief is on the run through South London. It's night time, but the hot car shines out brightly on the thermal imaging camera, allowing the helicopter crew to direct colleagues on the ground.
Into a cul-de-sac. Units into a cul-de-sac. Stand by, stand by. Out of the vehicle, out of the vehicle. He's gone straight to a driveway. That's it straight ahead. That's it straight ahead.
Get on the ground with the name of the road, Imperial.
Go first left up the footpath towards the railway station. Left, 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 guys. Left, left, and right at the end. Left, left, left. He's run up a footpath, MP, and he's parallel to the railway station, hiding in a garden.
In the garden?
Yeah, male IC1, long black coat, blue jeans, grey top. Units at the crossroads go right, right, right. Right, dog fan. Run up the alleyway, up the alleyway. He's walking slowly on the footpath by the railway track up towards the flyover. He's now running past the garages. The police officers have got to get behind the houses, go for the flyover, go for the flyover.
There goes the vehicle series. Can any...
MP99, he's now running up the steps on the side of the flyover. On the side of the flyover.
D99, stand by just for 1 second. Can I have the road where the vehicle has decamped in him, cover?
Solo, stop, he's on your left. That's him. Solo, go forward 15 metres, that's him on the bridge. Solo, that's him, half left now. That's him, you got him.
And after the inevitable arrest will come the inevitable prison sentence.
Confirm that is your suspect, now being detained, MP. Plenty of units on scene.
Tonight we've marked some of the milestones that have made our roads safer. But in recent years, the pace of change has accelerated. So dangerous drivers, be warned. New technology means that it's more likely that lawbreakers will be detected and punished. But to end with, some of the most unbelievable moments caught on police cameras. There's no one in the driver's seat here either. This automatic car, left in neutral, has somehow slipped into reverse. Some police just sit and wait for it to run out of petrol. Others use a less subtle technique. And how is this boat managing to move? The police can't quite believe it. Illegal, but tough not to see the funny side. And how's this for a mega mix? This baby cement mixer has a dancing rhythm all its own. Motorists in Surrey reported seeing a UFO in the sky over the M25. Just like in the movie Independence Day, the alien craft seems to be coming this way. Drivers became more concerned when they saw beams of light shining down at the road signs. Apparently, these visitors from another planet were looking for directions. But at last, with the help of another miracle of modern technology, the zoom lens, all is revealed. Sometimes even airship pilots get lost. Finally, bad driving can have unexpectedly cruel consequences. This driver was pulled over for speeding. He later tried to excuse himself on the grounds that he was trying to scare his wife into shutting up. But whatever trouble it landed him in with the police, it didn't work with her.
Words of love, so soft and tender, won't win a girl's heart anymore. If you love her, then you must send her somewhere where she's never been before. Worn out phrases and longing gazes won't get you where you want to go. Words of love, soft and tender, won't win her. You ought to know by now. You ought to know by now. Words of love, soft and tender, won't win her anymore.
Above our